Yes, sir.
Please take care of recording. So now I will teach you rice crop, the production of rice, mainly the varieties, the sowing or planting methods, or fertilizer management, water management, different methods of rice cultivation, climatic requirement, soil requirement, and the data, the spread of rice, origin of rice, or role of rice in Indian economy and so on. So mostly it will be rice production agronomy, you know. And in this case, today I welcome all of you in the class, and we are going to discuss rice in culture and civilization, and also we will see some diversity of the rice crop. So rice is considered as a symbol of fertility and prosperity. Prosperity. Definitely, all races in India, all kind of religions in India, they found rice very sacred. And Hindu, Buddhist scripture says grain used to offer the gods. When you go to a temple, when you go to your god, so many times rice is offered to the gods, and it features in many legends about the Buddha's life. Rice has very significance in Buddha's life. He was offered a bowl of milk and rice by a young woman named Sujata. So these kind of religious stories are known to us. And sweetened rice forms part of offerings to the Buddha in Buddhist ceremonies. I think it is clear. It is offered to the deities in Indian culture, to our gods. Hindus associate rice with Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. These are some references you may be interested to see them. One is Textbook of Field Crop Production by ICAR, Volume 1. It covers food crops, rice, wheat, cereals, and pulses in the first volume. And second volume is Textbook of Field Crop Production. It covers commercial crops like oil seeds, cotton, or sugarcane, tobacco, etc. And then another good book is Chidda Singh. C means Chidda Singh, and it is modern techniques of raising field crops. So the number three book is very good book, and I can suggest every agronomy student to see this book, Chidda Singh, Modern Techniques of Raising Field Crops. And there are some more books, and those books were general, those related to all kind of crops. But here, some specific to rice, you can see Fundamentals of Rice Crops, International Rice Research Institute. It is by Yoshida, 1981. It more of physiological aspects of rice. So you may be interested. I can share this book. Most of you have Gmail account. So I will send this book, Fundamentals of Rice Crop Science. It is looking very old, 1981, but friends, this is science. In science, things do not change, they just improve. Whatever has been said is correct. So this is excellent book. Another book is Surajit K. De Datta, Principles and Practices of Rice Production. So these are two fundamental books on rice. Very good books. Don't worry whether they are old or new. And then Advances in Agronomy. So you will find some topics related to rice here and there in Advances in Agronomy. And it is not just rice. You can find topics related to many crops, whether it is rice, wheat, maize, or whatsoever you study. So Advances in Agronomy is very important journal, especially for agronomy students, soil science students, and water science technology student, environment science students, and so on. So if you want to have a copy of Advances in Agronomy, I have from volume 1 to the last one updated. So you can ask me if you need it. And these advances in agronomy will also help you in your preparation of seminar. Many times students are in the want of getting a topic for their seminar. So I suggest you go through Advances in Agronomy because it covers a topic in very detail. If they take up, say, boron nutrition in crops, then they will take it exhaustively. It's all information pertaining to boron nutrition will be there in the paper. So this is excellent source of information, advances in agronomy. Now we continue with rice in Indian culture, religion, traditions. So paddy stalks or unhusked paddy are worshipped as embodying to the goddesses. In peninsular India, many festivals are connected to the sowing or harvesting of rice. I think all of you know about harvest festival, Pongal in Tamil Nadu, Onam in Kerala, Huthri in Coorg, Karnataka, also tinted with turmeric, showered onto newly married couples, and is part of numerous rites and celebrations. You see, we have haldi tika, haldi tika, kumkum tika, all kind of tika on our forehead, where we also put some rice. So there had been some concern because it was a primary food. It is very old food, particularly in Asia. So therefore, several traditions, several rituals have been developed using rice. Even in marriages, if you see in North India, I know in marriages, the brother of the marrying sister, he throws some rice grains, and it is just symbol of prosperity and fertility. And cooked in ghee, ghee is clarified butter, the favorite food of Prophet Muhammad. So it was there in the Islam also, in the Buddhism also, Hinduism, all sorts of religion, it was there. It is very much employed in arts and crafts of India, and rice paste is employed in the resist dyeing techniques of creating patterns on cloth. And I remember in Andhra Pradesh, in Hyderabad, now Telangana, I have seen one farmer brought sari, sari made from rice straw. Can you imagine? People started making saris from rice straw. So decorative features frequently consist of wall paintings and floor patterns. A part of daily ritual, ephemeral abstract designs are traced. Ephemeral means temporary. Temporary designs like Rangoli, Rangoli we have in West Bengal or some other places. So rice powder or paste is used on domestic thresholds and floors. The names are different, like Alpana in Bengal, Mandana in Rajasthan, and Kolam in South India. These Kolam designs are quite popular. And these designs are meant to bring good luck to the home. Mostly they put it outside the home or in the center of the free spaces in the home. So this is how in marriages, in ceremonies in India, we throw rice here and there, you see. So this is a ritualistic design called kolam. Kolam using rice flour in Tamil Nadu. So these designs were made from rice flour. See, they mix some color in the rice flour and make these designs. Fantastic efforts, and they remain temporary. And column designs reflect mathematical principles such as fractals and so on. This is how tika, kumkum tika or sindoor tika or haldi tika, any color in tika, Sadhu Maharaj, they also use these kind of tikas. So definitely rice was there in Indian civilization and in many Asian civilizations, maybe in Thailand, maybe in China, maybe in Vietnam. So it was there in the older civilization also. And civilization were fundamentally based upon agriculture, and agriculture depends upon crops, seeds of the crops or crops. The earliest record of rice comes from Non Nok Tha in Thailand, where it dates back to 3500 BC. Means rice was there in Thailand in 3500 BC. Oryza sativa, the rice grown in India and southern Asia, is first mentioned in Neolithic Chiran in North Bihar, 2000 to 1300 BC, and also recorded in Hastinapur and some other places. In Hastinapur, it was 1100. So Hastinapur may be part of Indian civilization, Indus Valley civilization. It is somewhere in Meerut district, is Hastinapur. Indus Valley civilization, name of the rivers, Indus, Ravi, Satluj. The people of Indus prospered on the foundation of agriculture-based system of irrigation and fertility maintained by silt-bearing floods. Rice, wheat, and 6-row barley were grown. In Indus Valley civilization, rice was there, wheat was there. The people of Indus may have cultivated rice on the west coast. Now, friends, this was just general information about culture, civilization, traditions, religion. Now we go a little scientific now. See, there are three kinds of rice if we see them physically. One is whole grain. Whole grain, what you see from outside. When you harvest the seed, that whole grain is your coarse rice or rough rice, and sometimes people call it coarse paddy or rough paddy. So this is the freshly harvested grain. And then you remove the outer coat, which is known as hull. When you remove the hull, then inside that you again have three-layered bran. This three-layered bran is papery bran, you can see, and it has different colors. Colors may be brown, colors may be yellow, colors may be creamy or black or red or yellow. Number of colors are there. Colors are attributed mainly to the bran layers. So inside the hull, you have bran layer, which is three-layered structure. And this bran is rich in nutrients. It is rich in vitamins. It is rich in oils. So that bran also contain about 15 to 20% oil, which is known as rice oil. And what you have removed were hulls and then bran layer, and inside that is endosperm. So endosperm is always white, and the bran layers which are enclosing the endosperm are colored, or sometimes white, maybe white or creamy white also. And outside the bran layer, the outermost layer is hulls. So these hulls may also have different colors. Normally they have yellow colors, straw color, or black color, or sometimes reddish black or blackish red kind of colors are there. So, you know, when we go for processing of rice, when we go for milling of rice, it is two-step process. In first step, the hulls are removed. Hulls which are outside the grain, the outermost layer. It is known as hulling or dehulling. Hulling is done, and after that you get bran layer are enclosing the endosperm. And these bran layers are also removed. The process of removal of these bran layers is called as polishing of rice, or you can say milling of rice. That is actual milling of rice or polishing of rice. So in polishing, you are removing the bran layers. So if you do not remove the bran layer, it will be called as brown rice. Means rice or endosperm with bran layers. Or when you remove the hulls from the grain, the remaining grain is your brown rice. And this brown rice may have different colors based upon the color of the bran. If color of the bran is red or black, so it will remain red or black rice. So then people call it red rice, black rice, yellow rice, brown rice, and so on. But as a whole, normally it is referred as brown rice. Color may be different, but overall it is called as brown rice internationally. So when you are milling the rice, when you are polishing the rice, or when you are removing the brown layers, the degree of milling will decide the color of the resultant rice grain. So normally if you are removing 20%, 30% bran layers, then this and rice is red, then about 70% bran layers will still be there on the endosperm. Then people call it red rice. Similarly, bran is black, so it is black rice. All kind of rices in the world, when you remove the bran layer, from inside they are white. If you keep the bran layer on the rice, that is brown layer, then it will be the color of the bran layer will be named to the rice, whether black rice or yellow rice or whatever name you have. So this is the difference between coarse, rough rice. You see this table. There are three columns in this table. coarse or rough rice. So color of the husk, you can see. Color of the husk may be straw color, maybe brown color, yellow color, brown, black, blackish yellow, yellowish black, reddish yellow black. So this is mostly yellow or brown or black from outside, the grain color, the coarse rice. Then you have removed the husk and you get brown rice. So this is actually color of the bran layers. So color may be tan color, reddish, yellowish, black, depending on the pigmentation in the bran layers. So based upon this, they are called as red rice, brown rice, black rice, purple rice, or all features unique pigmentation in the bran. Whatever is the color of the bran, you name it according to that. Now see the milled rice. Now you are removing the bran layers or polishing the rice or milling the rice. So once the bran and germ layers are removed, white rice remains. So inside, if you remove it 100%, if all the bran is removed, then you will always get white rice, irrespective of the color of the milled rice, color of the bran layers. On the inside, all rice is white. Remember this fact. It is the rice bran that gives different types of rice their color. Bran is removed by milling. The endosperm is always white. And globally, there are 40,000 varieties of rice. Rice crop is very, very diverse crop. And in India, out of 40,000 varieties, we have about 3,000 rice varieties. Great diversity of rice varieties in the world, in Asia, and also in India. Now you see these different colors of the bran layers, and based upon this, the name comes: red rice, black rice, white rice, or you can say yellow rice. And see the diversity in the grain color. Here the grain is whole grain or rough rice. So you can see yellow color, light yellow, black, red, mix of red and black, and so many colors are there. And you see the shape, size, length of the grain also. Some are very short, some are longer, some have awns, some do not have awns. So much of diversity is there. And see this aromatic rice diversity from Odisha. So see the colors, black color, mix of black and brown, and so many colors, yellow. And see aromatic rice variety from other states like UP, Tulai, Panji. These are local varieties, but they are aromatic varieties and they hold their value. Now with in the recent development in organic farming, now people are getting interested to grow these traditional varieties under organic system, this kind of rice, because that way they can earn more profit. These are very rare varieties and their tastes are different from common rice varieties. So aromatic rice varieties from diversity in West Bengal, you can see these are local varieties, mainly related to this West Bengal and Khasa, Kalo Jira, these are names. Muni, Manane, Manrai, Japka, etc. And Sadamala, Koka, Kama, you need not to bother to remember these names. So, but I'm just showing you that kind of diversity you have in rice. And now we can come to, I will show you just 4 or 5 varieties which are very common. So BPT 5204, it is Samba Masuri, a very popular variety and people like to eat it. This is high-yielding variety, quite popular in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Bihar, Eastern UP, and many more areas. So quite popular variety, BT 5204. You can remember this name, high-yielding variety. And then another high-yielding variety is Pusa 4. This is very old variety and it's still popular in Punjab. One very large area in Punjab, but now that area has declined and some other varieties are replacing Pusa 44. And this is Pusa Basmati 1. So IARA, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, is quite known for Basmati rice breeding program. So what happened in the beginning, Basmati varieties were very tall. The best variety of the time was Taraudi Basmati. Taraudi Basmati was quite a good variety, highly smelly or high scented variety, aromatic variety, and basmati variety, the real basmati variety. But problem was that yield of the traditional variety was less because they were very tall and yield potential was low. They were not responsive to fertilizer also. Therefore, IRA started breeding program in basmati rices, and IRA delivered first basmati rice, improved basmati rice, Pusa Basmati 1. And it was a phenomena in India or in basmati growing areas. It spread like anything. This Pusa Basmati 1 was released in 1989. So since then, it was there quite popular for many years. 20, 25 years, it was very popular and excellent quality, excellent cooking quality, eating quality, and very good variety. But slowly it was replaced by other varieties because of certain problems. Some disease or insect pest problem increased. Therefore, after some years, this variety was abandoned by the farmers and they have switched over to some other options. But the name should be remembered by you, Pusa Basmati 1. Still, some farmers are growing this variety. Now, Pusa Basmati 1121. 1121, hello, somebody is, oh, this mic is on. So Pusa 1121, you must remember this name. This was released in perhaps in 2001, and this is quite popular variety in basmati growing areas. And one time, 60% share in basmati export from India was occupied by this variety, Pusa Basmati 1121. The excellent quality and the expansion after cooking is very high. It will increase in length 2 times, 3 times, or in width also. So therefore, people who like to eat biryani, this is common, very, very popular in biryani eating people. It is exported to Iran, Iraq, or some Arabic countries, and also Europe, America. So this name is worth remembering, and it is still being adopted by the farmers. But now some diseases are coming up in this variety. So because of that, now some other options are available to the farmers, but it is still being grown by the farmers. Pusa Basmati 1121. Now this is Pusa RS10, Pusa Rice Hybrid 10. So friends, this is the first scented hybrid rice in the world. Means you may have scented rices, but they are not hybrid. So it was first hybrid which was scented, Pusa RS10. And then Pusa Sugandh 5. It is not a basmati variety. So remember that all basmati varieties are scented, but all scented varieties are not basmati. You know, jasmine rice. Jasmine rice from Thailand is quite popular internationally, but that is not basmati, but still it is scented. So all basmati varieties are scented, but all scented varieties are not basmati. So this is the case. This is Pusa Sugandh 5. This is a scented variety. It gives very good aroma, but it is not a basmati variety. So Pusa Sugandh 5 was high-yielding variety, but it used to have scent. That is why its name is Pusa Sugandh 5. So IRA released many variety in this series. Pusa Sugandh 2, Pusa Sugandh 3, Pusa Sugandh 5, Pusa Sole Bara 1612 were the varieties which were scented but not basmati, and they were high-yielding variety. Pusa Sugandh 5 was quite popular one time. Now its area has declined. So this used to yield about 6 tons per hectare, but fine grain and scented variety, but not basmati variety. See Pusa Basmati 1509. I have shown you variety Pusa Basmati 1121. So 1121 was or is the excellent variety with good cooking quality, good eating quality. But main problem with this variety is that it is long duration variety. It takes about 145 days to mature. So therefore, what IRA did, IRA developed a variety which was Pusa Basmati 1509. Our present director, Dr. A.K. Singh, he was responsible for the development of this variety, Pusa Basmati 1509. So this What happened? Pusa Basmati 1121 was long duration variety, 145 days. So farmers cannot sow their wheat crop or any winter crop or Rabi season crop in time because it may be harvested in November, middle of November, early November. So therefore, IRA developed one variety, Pusa Basmati 1509. This is true Basmati, high yielding variety, but matures in 115 or 120 days. So that is why this variety also became popular in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, and many basmati growing areas of Jammu, Kashmir, and so on. So this is a name to be remembered, Pusa Basmati 1509, short duration basmati variety. And then similarly, recently, just maybe 1 year back, this Pusa Basmati 1692 was released 1 or 2 years back. I will give you the exact year, but it is the latest variety from IRE, latest Basmati variety from IRE, Pusa Basmati 1692. So this again short duration variety, high yielding variety, and we will see how it will do in basmati growing areas because this is first year I think IR introduced it to the farmers, but in next 2-3 years we will know the results from the farmer side. As I told you that rice has very high diversity. So diversity with respect to grains you have seen, the color of the grain, size, shape of the grains and so on. Similarly, with respect to plant type also you will see diversity. Just I have shown you some basmati, they were small in size, not very tall, they were short, and some were very tall. Pusa Taravadi basmati is very tall variety. Similarly, the high yielding varieties or other kind of varieties, maybe some may be very tall. You see, this is very tall variety. Maybe just I wanted to show you, it is 8 feet at least, 8 feet tall variety. May not be clear from the picture, but it is very tall variety. So it was sometimes it can go up to the height of sugar cane, you know. So and also you know about floating rice, which is very deep water rice. So in that case, you have climbing type of rice, which is very tall. So much of diversity in leaf size, leaf number, and so on. See, this is again a tall. On the right side, you have tall variety. On the left side, very small or short variety. Now you see further the genetic diversity of rice land races collected from high altitude areas of Kashmir. So this diversity is from Kashmir. They name it differently. See more diversity. I just took these pictures from one conference. One conference was happening on organic farming. So farmers put their local varieties in that conference. I just clicked the pictures and you can see the panicle, the grain size, the color of the panicle, color of the grain, and so on. Grain numbers, you can get some idea from these panicles. And this is the variety. So you can just have a look on this kind of diversity in rice panicles. See this variety, black color, red color, brown color, green color, even you see on the extreme left bottom, you see green color and so many colors. And some food items, I think you know, most of you, more rather all of you are Indians, so you understand how many kind of foods we make from rice. We make khichdi, we make roti, we make upama, or I don't know this idli. I don't know whether we use dosa or for rice is used for dosa making. I think so. I'm not sure, but there are 1,000 kind of food items or preparations that we use in India. So this is one option is Mapi, Lai, Samba, puffed rice in use of making bhel puri, you know, and Ilu Pair, Po, Samba rice, Thanjavur. Quite popular, I could not spell it correctly, but it is quite popular rice. Raja Mudi rice in Karnataka. And this is on the left side, khichdi, samba rice. So people love to eat samba rice actually. and other side is parboiled oil, semi-polished. And Gandha Sale, some fragrant rice variety like Govinda Bhog, aromatic rice, West Bengal, small grained, kheer, or any sweet items. And other is Mullan Kajama, Kerala. So this Gandha Sale is quite a good scented variety from Kerala, Gandha Sale. The name is because it permeates the smell, odor or not odor, the scent permeates even the field. When you walk around the field of Gandha Sale, you will experience the smell or good scent, fragrance. Ambe Mohar. Ambe Mohar scented rice favored by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, was a famous warrior from Maharashtra, and he used to love this Ambe Mohar rice. And now, friends, we come back to some serious issue, that is Kala Namak rice. These days, you may be seeing in press or in newspapers or news, this Kala Namak is getting some name here and there. So Kala Namak means black salt. The literal meaning is black salt. So Kala Namak is actually a kind of rice equivalent to Basmati rice, but it is not Basmati rice. It is a scented rice which is mostly confined to Nepal, some parts of Nepal, and one district of Uttar Pradesh. That district is Siddharth Nagar. So it is finest quality scented rices of India. The husk, you can see on the left side, the husk is black. So name comes Kala Namak because husk is black. So quite popular in Himalayan Tarai of eastern UP and also Nepal. The limitation is that tall stature. It is very tall, causing lodging, long duration, and low yield. These are the limitations of Kala rice. Why I am talking of Kala rice? Because it has very good quality. Some people consider its quality as better than the Basmati rice. Sometimes it is sold at higher prices in the market than Basmati rice. So people see some money in this, some taste in this, some quality in this. Therefore, they are talking about Kala Namak these days. So geographical area of production of Kala Namak rice is Bajar Di. This is area in a district. Bajaha, Dubaripur, Devra, Mohanjot, Siayo, Nyayo, Ramwapur, Doharia Khurd, Doharia Bujurg. These are the names of the villages of Siddharth Nagar district. So you just remember it is endemic or it is confined to Siddharth Nagar district. It should be grown in Siddharth Nagar district. If sown elsewhere, loses its aroma and quality. Same is the case with Basmati. So we have Basmati growing areas which have been declared and which are traditionally growing Basmati in India. If you take Basmati beyond that area, it will not remain Basmati because it has got GI tag, Basmati rice. So if sown elsewhere, loses its aroma and quality. Kala Namak. So tiny grains, aromatic rice, and preferred for making biryani. It is good for biryani. The most expensive rice grown in Odisha. Sorry, we are like Kala Namak, now we have Kala Jeera. So it is also aromatic rice, the most expensive rice grown in Odisha. It is named after jeera, cumin, Kala Jeera, because the seeds are very tiny, very smaller in size, and they are thought to resemble cumin. They look like jeera. Therefore, the name is Kala Jeera. So you see Kala Jeera cooked rice, Kala Jeera paddy, and Kala Jeera plant. I'll show you some more plants of Kala Jeera. So this is Kala Namak. This is very tall and low yielding rice because grain size is also very small in this case. Of course, bigger than Kala Jeera. You remember two names, Kala Namak, Kala Jeera. Kala Namak from Siddharth Nagar and Kala Jeera from Odisha. And this Kala Namak, you can see very tall plant and the color of the grains is black. On the left side of this picture, you see the short Kala Namak genotypes. So this picture I have taken from IRA fields where plant breeders are breeding Kala Namak varieties. So the varieties are not released, but you can have a look on these kind of materials where they have put some efforts to develop short statured or short height Kala Namak so that it can give you more yield and it becomes responsive to fertilizers. And see close look of Kala Namak rice. And this is the improved line developed by IRI. And it is not released yet. It is in the process of release. So see the panicles are thick here, and you can expect more yield from this short Kala Namak. Another line. So now, as I was talking about Kala Jeera from Odisha. So in Odisha, people took some interest in developing some improved versions of Kala Jeera and some similar kind of rices. So they have come up with some new varieties from Odisha, like Nua Kala Jeera. Perhaps Nua means maybe new, I think. The people who are from Odisha can see what is meant by Nua Kala Jeera. Maybe new Kala Jeera, new Dhusara, Nua Chinkamini, Purn Bhog, CR Sugandhan 907. So these are versions of Kala Namak or aromatic non-basmati rices from Odisha. So I'll show you some popular rice varieties across the country. Palakkad Matta rice, it is red color rice. It is Kerala's most iconic rice varieties and protected with its own GI. Palakkad Matta, grown in the Palakkad region of Kerala. Aside from cooking this as a rice staple, it is also used in other rice-based dishes like appama and idlis. Kovni Arisi, black rice, unique to the Chettinad, this Kovani Arisi. Just I forgot to tell you that it was a traditional in China to eat kala rice. And the kala black rice was meant only for the kings. Only kings could use kala rice in China. It was not allowed to common people. So it was very special rice in China also, this kala rice or black rice. So in China also they have their aromatic varieties of kala rices, black rices. Katu Yanam, it is red in color from Tamil Nadu and up to over 7 feet tall. The name is Katu Yanam, able to hide an elephant. An elephant can hide in the rice. Katu means forest, and Yanam means elephant. So it is just like elephant can live in forest. So keeps diabetes and arthritis under control. It has got some medicinal value and boosts immunity and protect against skin problems. And friends, in the end, I want to show you some scenery. Some scenery or some rice is used for the beautification, or it has some aesthetic value. Now you can see this rice field before you, if you can see it clearly. So the transplanting of the rice is done. And if I change the slide, you will see the same slide, but the age of the crop will increase. So this field has rice, and see how this design will change. So see carefully some pictures. See this, the graining started. See this, something is appearing on as the growing period or growth period increases. You can see some art is getting prominently shown here. So now you will see the deep colors. Next stage, and this is all rice transplanted from the field. See this one, further advanced stage. And these are the kind of pictures and cartoons or things, art people make in Japan. In Japan, they make like this. They got different colored rices and they made some pictures by using the rice in the field. And this picture is taken from the top. So this is rice field, friend. Actually, this is rice field, but they have done some kind of art. Also rice field. They made photo of young people. Also rice field. And because of the variegation in the colors, you can make such arts. Green color, purple color, black color, yellow color. This is not actually deficiency of iron. This is the natural color of the leaves. In some leaves, you have some dominating xanthophylls or some pigmentation. Because of that, you can have such variegation in leaves. So another scenery, another art made in rice fields. And this is the natural system. And in some mountainous regions of the world, or Asia, they grow rice in terraces, and such kind of fields are there for rice. So this ends the lecture. And now I invite your discussion, or if you have anything to say. So you can have some questions or points of view or discussion. This class is up to 11:15.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I
Yes.
think I'm 15 minutes early. Anyway, so